Alrighty. Okay, if I could bug people to take some seats, we're moving on to the panel portion of the day. And we've got some heavyweights in the room with us. If you're on crypto Twitter, chances are you've heard from these people. Okay, all right. The panel is about do growth hacks kill Web3? And we're being joined by Claire, Jay, James, and Debbie. All amazing marketing talent in Web3. And I can't wait to hear from them. All right, I will pass it off to you folks.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. How are we doing? So good. Wow, that was incredible. No, it's good. You guys survived the long line outside. So like that in and of itself is the accomplishment for you all today. So we're here to talk about marketing, and I'm going to play like pseudo moderator / participant, which is just my excuse to talk more than everyone else. I'm just kidding. But the real kind of push here and why we came together, Web3 marketing sometimes can really suck. Like, let's just be honest. We've all seen the timeline. We've all seen the airdrops. We've all seen how things go poorly. But we're a group of folks who I think believe it can be done really well. And it should be done really well. But there's a question that we're going to contemplate together, and it's around this idea of do growth hacks kill Web3, or did they? Maybe they are still, I don't know. We'll debate that a little bit. But before we jump in there, we'll do some intros, and I'm going to hand it off to Debbie first.
Hi, I'm Debbie. I head up marketing for Privy. Before that, I was a founder in the space and also an author. So yeah, I've been working, and this is my 4th ETHDenver, I think. So it's good to be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Claire Kart. I'm the CMO at Aztec. I come from a traditional kind of marketing background in fintech startups, and then I've been in crypto now for 7 or 8 years. I kind of lose count. I think it's 8 now, and I think it's my 5th ETHDenver. So yeah, really excited to be here, and I'm very passionate about this topic, so if you love hot takes, get ready.
Hey everybody, my name is Jay Kurahashi Sofue. I'm the CMO at Eco. Long and short is we focus on making it easy for any application to use stablecoins. So been part of the team for almost 2 years. Before that, I led marketing at Avalanche. You guys might know it as the Layer 1. I've been a marketing leader in the space for over 10 years. So also have hot takes, because I'm very passionate about this stuff. I think it does suck, like James says, almost all the time, but I think that's why I like it. So maybe a little bit of...
Max Payne.
Yeah, maybe Max Payne is my flavor of the day. But yeah, excited to talk about it.
That's incredible. And I'm James. I'm head of marketing at Across Protocol. I'm just happy to be here. It's going to be a good time. So before we jump deeply in, I'm wondering, how do you three define growth hacks? Because that's a really broad term. And I'm just curious, like if we each maybe narrow that definition down for how we view it. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. I think because I come from a traditional marketing background, right? Like at a fintech startup, we had products. For me, growth hacking is like this very tight loop between product marketing and eng. And so you have to have a product in the market. You need to be working with product and eng to create these like reinforcing cycles, right? So that's the way I think about it, and I think that is going to inform a lot of my future answers about why I think we've lost our way. But we'll get to that then.
I think my take is a little bit additive to that and focusing more on the loops. So I think the loops are very important when you actually can figure out, especially using data, to go to market and create these complementary, effectively like mini campaigns to boost the progress and success of your broader marketing strategy. And then you can probably see why that can also be taken in the wrong direction and almost abused at times, which happens in any industry, but it also happens in crypto. So excited to like dive into that a little bit more too.
Yeah, I guess my hot take a little bit is that when I think of the word hack, as it is with hackathons, it's something that you do in a really short amount of time. And so I think when it comes to growth hacks, and I've thought about it in the kind of B2C kind of way, where a lot of it sometimes is like, how do we hack the algorithm? How do we, put in these things that are done in a really short amount of time, but to gain a lot of visibility, to gain a lot of engagement. And I don't know if I necessarily agree that every single product or every single thing out there needs or relies on a form of growth hacking, if you will, which I guess brings us to this topic of discussion.
Yeah, this is really good. I'll answer this too because I think growth hacks, there's the positive side of growth hacks, and I think, Debbie, you're kind of outlining that too. It's this mindset, and we're all doing it, right? Every one of you are thinking about agents. Maybe you've built out an OpenClaw agent. Maybe you're playing with it. We're all looking for ways to get better, faster, like do the work that we do more efficiently. But I also think that growth hacks sometimes lead to the lazy shortcuts. And we've seen time and time again projects who look for the quick way to gain mass amount of followers, to build a community, and I use air quotes really intentionally there because it's not community, it's just airdrop farmers. But they use these tactics and it ends up not just biting them in the ass, but actually undercutting the entire industry. So there's a big scale of a range of what I think growth hacks are. I'm curious for you guys, let's go to the one that I think probably all of us have experienced and seen done really poorly. What about KOLs? KOLs as a shortcut to growth. Have you used them? Have you seen success in them? Maybe have you seen not so great outcomes?
I can say that from Privy standpoint, we've never used KOLs. I think if anything, like, I don't know why I think of Privy as like the anti kind of growth hacking way. But like, you know how there are accounts out there that goes like, who wants a follow from like this account, right? It could be any brand account and everyone comments. Privy follows a grand total of 0 people. So we only have followers and we follow 0, like not even the people that are working on Privy, so.
I've used KOLs in the past, I think as part of my marketing mix. But for me, I think like, there are so many different types of KOLs, right? There's KOLs who are definitely doing more like, you know, they're very Binance aligned and they want you to go farm whatever upcoming campaign is listing on Binance. And so that's one route you could take, right? Maybe that is your goal and that needs to be part of your mix. There's also KOLs who are like deeply technical and write research reports, but, you know, present it in like more of a KOL format. So I think I don't like to write anything off. I just kind of like to try to analyze it from first principles of who is this person, how are they perceived, who is their audience, and sometimes distributing your message through a third party is a really effective way to go, right? And sometimes it's not. So I definitely use KOLs as part of my mix, but I'd say I'm ultra critical and skeptical, and that kind of drives the marketing strategy in general.
I'm also very critical, but I would say I'm critical for most things in the marketing mix, and I think we all are. That's probably why we're here together. And what I mean by that is there's nothing wrong inherently with KOLs, but I think what KOLs has turned into is the solution for how do I actually pay a lot of money to get results fast. And if you're actually looking in that way, that makes almost no sense, especially if you're early stage, because you should be focusing on organic and actually focusing on validating your go-to-market strategy, your narratives, all these things that kind of like how when you're building a house, you want to keep it clean. It's like your bed isn't made yet, and so why would you go to the next room to try and expand it for a new extension of the living room, for example. And so I've also used KOLs in the past. I kind of look at it as just like a paid marketing function, like any other industry, I would say, kind of looks at it that way. And so if you're able to strategically separate budget and understand what you're actually going for, is it brand level awareness? Is it actual conversion? Is it something in between? And actually clearly define it, you'll have much less surprises when it comes to the outcome. And I think where we're at in crypto, I feel, especially in this kind of market condition, is people were very surprised that their multi-million-dollar KOL budget led to nothing in the long term, or very little in the long term.
How many of you have ever joined a project, used a product, bought a token because of a KOL? A few people. Yeah, a few. I think what's hard is the idea, the definition of KOL, key opinion leader. So if you look at this person as a leader, that means you trust them. There's a trust score that maybe you don't have a number to, but you have that in your head. But every time that KOL posts about another project, another thing, another token, that trust score is slowly degrading over time. And so I think what we're experiencing today in a lot of Web3 marketing is that these KOLs have been at it for years. Some of these folks have been following since 2020, 2021, and they're over and over again, they're just shilling the next project. And at some point, you just stop trusting them because you can't really trust someone who's constantly being paid to talk about what they have belief in, right? It doesn't work that way. But this, go ahead, Debbie.
No, I was also going to say, I think like, in kind of the traditional like Instagram or TikTok, KOL side of things, I feel like influencers or however you want to call them, they are kind of legally like I don't know if they're obligated or they have to, but they have to say that this is an ad. And I think that's something that we don't see in crypto is that you see these KOLs post about something. Sometimes they'll even write really thoughtful articles and research about it, but it's not always disclosed that they're being paid to do it as well.
Very true. Yeah. I'll add one more thing. So we did our token sale in Q4, and we ran it on our own platform, right? So like we owned the site that it was conducted on, so just have a ton of data. And I can tell you for a fact that there were markets where we were running tests of we're going to put a KOL in market, a well-selected KOL, and we're going to see what happens to site traffic and conversion into the sale. And I can tell you KOL campaigns work and they're effective, and you can, get it down to like the ROI, right? You can be like, we spent this much and this is what we saw. So I have a ton of data because again, we owned our sale platform, which like has drawbacks and was hard in other ways, but very, very interesting in terms of just seeing what traffic are we bringing in the door and what are those folks doing with regards to like the action that we want them to complete. And it varies market by market, right? Like some of the markets I'm referring to were in Asia. The role of KOLs is really different there. And if you can find a few people who do have trust and they've kept that with their audience, it can be super effective. But I think you really have to know what you're looking for, vet people very closely. So my message to all of you is like KOLs are a part of a marketing mix. They can be part of a paid strategy. And it's just a matter of like doing it well, I guess, and not seeing it as a shortcut. Because Jay's right. If you take it as a shortcut, you're going to get crappy results like any shortcut.
I love that. It's actually a great segue because if you think about KOLs, you also think about this kind of term of mind share. Like every KOL is fighting for mind share. Everyone was farming their yaps. We're all trying to figure that out on Kaido. I wonder if you guys could maybe speak on a little bit of this, the pseudo KOL movement that came out of InfoFi and engagement farming, and maybe I have a lot of opinions about Kaido. I'll save them maybe a little bit here, but I'm curious, like, what do you think of the effect of what InfoFi, in its stage that we saw it, had on kind of Web3 marketing?
So I'll be pretty direct. It was basically like a spam machine, and it was just a spam factory. So I'm sure there was some metrics that helped or were benefited from that, but not in the sense of how much time you spent in it, how many resources, and you also probably had to fund it a significant amount, because I'm not too privy to specifically how all the mechanics work. There was like stake, there was just all this stuff that made it very confusing. But at the end of the day, it's a mechanical Turks platform, and you're paying people to fake your results. So if you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, if you launch the product and if you're an ecosystem and you don't have anyone building on it, or you don't have users, or you don't have whatever you're trying to accomplish because of that strategy, well, you shouldn't be surprised at that effect. And I'm glad that, I think Nikita was probably one of the biggest voices from the X team, but I'm glad they figured out from the API perspective how to cut that out, because it wasn't self-policing at all, even though some people would say that. And I just think you do need like those platform level controls sometimes in order to help the entire ecosystem of social media out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think tying it back to what the platform safeguards are, I think InfoFi as a concept, it definitely sounds interesting and it sounds like it makes a lot of sense. But when you have a platform like X, or actually a lot of platforms these days, and the rise of all of these bots, right? So then now you have all these bots that are farming essentially what these points are. And you look at the engagement on, say, a tweet that you put out, and there are all of these mentions, these floods of comments, but they're not really saying anything meaningful. And then you click into the account, and all they've done is just commenting on the same thing, on different things, I guess, just to max out the number of points that they have. So I guess realistically, it just wasn't very genuine at the end of the day.
I think when Vitalik first talked about the idea of InfoFi, I don't think he had Kaido in mind and the permeation of what we saw on the timeline. In fact, I think he would argue that that was literally the opposite of what his goal was with talking about InfoFi. In its infancy, InfoFi, very broken down, is just quite simple. You get information, and good information has some sort of financial yield. But when you bastardize that and just incentivize everything that happens to mention just a few keywords, it doesn't actually turn into InfoFi. I think Jay, who kicked it off, it's more like SpamFi. Like it's just a generated spam factory. And then the evolution of AI content didn't help, right? It made it actually a lot easier for these folks to farm. Yeah, we can go on about it. I don't know. I know a few folks who worked really hard on Kaido. They had good intentions, I think. I think they did. They genuinely did. But, you know, farmers ruin it.
I'll quickly say, too, like, I think there's a larger problem in our industry, which is that many teams they're very founder-led. Those founders tend to not have marketing backgrounds, right? They tend to be technical founders, which I think is right. And then they're either not bringing a marketer in or not giving them the ability to be a decision maker. And I see why InfoFi and Kaido was very attractive to founders. I think founders for many years have been pressured to produce vanity metrics. And that's like this larger problem, right? So many of us are existing within this industry that has a lot of like larger problems that are larger than ourselves, and like trying to go up against your founder and be like, we are absolutely not doing that because we're not going to get quality users because XYZ, like that is not a battle I wish any of you to fight, but we all kind of have to fight it daily against different things. And there's just not enough strong marketing voices being like, this doesn't work, this is BS. And so I think it's like this larger issue where there's alignment misincentive, the founders are very in charge, they're not listening to marketers, and then we are like led down this path of just like incredibly bad decisions.
I've had a lot of marketers ask me, what do I do? My founder, the board, the leadership is pushing me.
A lot of pressure.
And maybe, what advice would you all give to younger marketers who, they're in that power dynamic, right? Like, you can't say no to your boss, you don't want to lose your job.
Yes, you can.
But let's hear it actually, Claire. What advice would you give?
Here's the thing, like, why are you paying my salary? If you think you can do it, do it.
Let's
and
fucking
fire
go.
me and save the money and hire an
Yeah,
engineer.
let's go.
Why did you hire me? I mean, this is not a question you want to have. This isn't a conversation you want to have on the all hands, right? You want to be respectful. But you want to go up to that person and be like, look, here's a pattern I've noticed. And you have a limited runway. And I truly want to understand why you're paying me. And if they don't have an answer, go look for a new job and negotiate a good severance and find a lawyer. Because you should not spend your time working at a place that doesn't give a shit about what you think or have to say. You are wasting your career. Like, this panel is not about this, but it is about this. I think every GTM panel here is about this in some regard, and I won't go off too much.
Please do.
But literally, you are good at what you do, and you're only going to get better if you are able to make decisions, be accountable for them, and learn. And so if you're not able to make decisions, it cuts that all off. So if wherever you're working, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're not going to have a seat at the table at every decision. Like, there are things where I'm like, okay, I don't 100% want to do this, but I get it. This is like the founder's vision. So it's got to be a give and take. But by and large, if you're just like not treated a decision maker, you need to leave.
Yeah, and I think I'll add too is also the timing of marketing. Like I also sit on the camp where I don't think that you need marketing to start. Like you can't market a product that doesn't have product market fit. And no matter how good your marketing is, it's not going to help you find product market fit. And you know, we all work in an industry where we're all trying to do something new for the very first time. We're literally creating the category and defining the category and having it evolve through time. That like, if you are not finding something that resonates or that people are willing to pay you money for, there's no amount of marketing that is going to turn your product into this magic potion and start like printing cash all of a sudden.
We should just stop the panel right here. Like, this is the point. And if you leave walking away with anything from this, like, one, if you're a marketer and you're running into that issue where you have that pressure, you need those vanity metrics, stand up for yourself. Stand up for what you believe in. And if you're a founder putting that pressure on your marketing team, shame on you. Like, you know better. You really do. You know better. Anyone else? Any last? This is our time to vent, and we can just keep going.
It's a group
Go off,
therapy
Jay.
session.
I'll retweet what you guys said.
Okay, let's keep going down the path here. It's a little bit of a gear shift, but AI and marketing have not always been just a clear, straight path forward. I think there have been a lot of marketers who have been quick to adapt AI and to work that into their kind of marketing stack. And especially lately now with agents and OpenClaw, and there's all these plugins to have OpenClaw run your Google Ads account and run your SEO and all of these things. I'm just curious for you all, how have you implemented AI in your own workflows? How do you encourage it in your own teams? And do you think that it makes sense for us to embrace it as a marketing kind of ecosystem in crypto?
I would say, like with probably a lot of the leading teams, our team is very much like AI forward and trying to be as in front of it as possible. That doesn't necessarily mean we have to use AI for everything, though, right? So it's having a critical mindset, standing up for yourself when you need to, really understanding what AI is doing for you in this flow. So I'll give one example just for time. So one example is over the weekend, a lot of bots and a lot of conversations coming up with Claude bot and things like that, right? There's a bunch of scripts that you can run for marketing. So you can actually plug in like your Google search analytics, your Google ad analytics, and all that to basically have a search analyst to be your co-pilot. That for a team like ours, where my marketing team is very small, it's myself and a junior kind of support person, is extremely, extremely helpful, because not only do I not have to hire an agency anymore, but now this product knows who we are to a T and has all the data. And so it took a little bit to install and whatever, and there's also risks to it, of course. They have your data, and there's all these things, so you have to be mindful of that. But to use that, now it's like while I'm here, effectively, I have my laptop running all these different scripts. It's giving me all these recommendations. I'm not quite comfortable with just having it automatically merge into production, of course, but I can come back to my hotel room and I can read the recommendations. It's like, hey, by the way, this is going to take 1 or 2 days. This is going to take 2 or 3 days. Here's how you pace it. Here's how you organize it. And so I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but the most crazy thing happened the other day where I got pinged by a friend and they said, hey, do you want this person as an intern? For the first time, I said, or like always, I said, hey, this person is interesting, strong background. Yeah, definitely. Let me just figure out where this person fits. Unfortunately, after I thought about it and I was mapping it all out, the AI, like Claude or whatever you use, is actually able to do everything that intern used to do. Now, I think there's a role for the intern, but I think it's different from what we probably like grew up with in our career, where you kind of just measure and you kind of follow the lead of your boss effectively and do it over and over and over. I think that's a little bit different now, and I'm curious where that's going to go, but that was like a crazy moment for me to actually experience on myself, which is, wow, I actually said no to this, and I actually can't even think about what I would use this person for, and so I don't want to waste their time, but let's just network, and that'll be at least the least I can do for now.
Yeah. Debbie, what about you?
Well, I use it a lot in my writing workflow, and I think the whole thing is that AI doesn't replace critical thinking. I think if anything, it like challenges you to level up your critical thinking. So even though AI says that this is a certain way to do it, like I have to be like, that doesn't sound right at all. And so I think it's about challenging yourself to disagree with the AI sometimes. So sometimes agree with it. And so having that level of discernment to reject it completely is obviously not the way forward. You're going to be left behind. But to really think about how you can collaborate with it, but still having your own strong point of view.
Claire?
Yeah, huge plus one to what everybody said. I think I use it quite a bit, like as a sparring partner, or, like I'm thinking about an idea, I want some assistance on it. Maybe I want to see a first draft to maybe even see how I wouldn't approach it, where it's like, no, that was wrong. So now I've closed down that pathway. So I think about it a lot, like I think in the past, teams were more bloated. And, in some ways, like, it was nice to have this big group of colleagues. And now teams are leaner. And so I feel like I use AI a lot kind of as like a colleague, right? Where I'm not going to do exactly what they say. I'm going to brainstorm and spar with them. And so I use AI a lot in that way.
I love it. We're getting the time signal. They shaved a few minutes off, I think. But can we just give it up for our panelists? And just as a last point here, like genuinely, if you're a marketer and you're trying to figure this out, reach out to any of us. Like I would love to keep this conversation going after the panel. If you need help, if you need advice, if you just need to know, like, what do you say to your boss because he's being a dick and trying to make you pump your followers, like, we're here to help. We would love to help you. So thank you all, and have a great ETHDenver.
Thank you for having
Thanks,
us.
everyone.
Have a great conference, everyone. Thank you.